It's Monday night. Maybe you're down about your NFL picks. You're seeing Game 7 baseball, but you know what? You want to break from it. WWE Raw, maybe it's not your favorite cup of tea. Well, Sportswire Radio has got you covered and some because our guest tonight has been quickly making his rounds here in the Mid-Atlantic wrestling scene. You've seen him most notably in places like EBW Pro, where he is one half of the team that is the number one contenders to those tag team championships. And he's also a huge part of things now in one of our favorite companies, which we do a lot of coverage for here of late. Dominant Breakout Wrestling. He was just on the World War show. He had a big victory in Thunder Punch episode 7, and I'm sure we'll certainly talk a lot about that in between, and maybe a bag of chips, as my old friend Downtown Julie Brown would say. Our guest, though, because it's his first time here, has to get the introduction that many of his colleagues here in DBW and EBW Pro have gotten. So without further ado here, ladies and gentlemen, so with that, without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show from the team they call the Chaos Conspiracy. They call him the Boneshaker, Robert Pierson. My friend, welcome aboard.
Thank you for that introduction. Honestly, I really, that is a whole different experience when you're here.
Well, I mean, certainly, listen, I always tell people at this point, I'm doing it 5 years, and people say, oh, well, what do you think you'll be remembered for? And I say, well, it's probably the introduction, because people don't sit through these whole 3-hour interviews. I mean, obviously, they like the clips, they like the short vines, but I always say everybody that comes on to Sportswire over the years loves those introductions, whether it's my wrestlers, whether it's my athletes, my coaches when I was doing news, but that's here nor there. Robert Pierson, the Boneshaker. We have a lot to talk about with you tonight, my friend, and obviously, I want to get to here the good news first. And the good news first here is one of the more famous songs from the band Rush on the album Snakes and Arrows. But it's not about Snakes and Arrows here. It's about Robert Pierson, because you and your tag team partner, Jacob Cassidy, are now the number one contenders to the EBW Pro tag team titles. And you guys got a huge victory over the Stompers, and also somebody else we know very well here in two members of Ego. And that was the first time I think I've seen them tag, at least in recent memory, Mr. Roland Havoc and Colin Graves. So for those that are listening and watching, my friend, talk about being one half of the number one contenders to the EBW Pro tag team titles.
Honestly, it was definitely a war. It was definitely a fight. It was honestly a great honor to be in the ring with an established teams, with Colin Graves and Roland Havoc and Ego, and with the Stompers. But me and Jacob Cash went out there, did what we had to do, made sure it was too damn good, and secured the W. That way, it doesn't matter who we face. All I know is the next show, when we do face for them coveted vacant EBW Pro Tag Team Championships, it'll be something personal, because two established teams like that, and with us just making our way up into the rankings, it was definitely an honor and a privilege to have stepped in the ring and get the W. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's always important. I'll certainly get to a bunch of comments here. I see people have tuned in. I'll get to everybody here as people work their way into the show. But you said it was personal, the victory. Now, I mean, obviously, I'll go over your opponents in a second. Obviously, men that you know very well. You've obviously wrestled them in different capacities in different companies. But talk about, for the audience, why, for you, the win was so personal.
I mean, it was personal because I'm me myself. I reside here in the Eastern Shore of Maryland,
Okay.
in Salisbury. But I am from New Jersey, so to go back to my home state, I had my little sister out there. I had my uncle out there. Um my I just had family, my aunt, my uncle just out there watching me, and I didn't want to let them down, especially not home. You don't ever want to let your family down in home. So that's why it felt way more personal because all my life, I've told them I wanted to be a wrestler. This is what I want to do, and it's always like, well, you're gonna have fun, you're gonna be safe. Is this something you can make a career out of? Now I'm out here, essentially, I don't just kicking butts and taking names. And and that's why it was so personal because it feels different when you have family or close friends watching you and it's not just the crowd because to work the crowd is just wonderful itself because you're going to hear people say all types of things and even if we were the first match of the night, so the crowd really wasn't set on fire. So it was really our job to set that standard for how the rest of the night was going to go, and to catch a big win like that for tag team gold definitely meant a lot because as I got the pin, I looked right over at my family who was sitting in the section and just see I got to. It's almost it meant something to really see
All right,
them smile and see tears
let
of
me
joy.
ask you a question in a follow-up, and I promise I'll get to people here shortly on that. But did you feel sometimes this happens a lot because I do a lot of college basketball. Obviously, here, if you're in the tri-state area, college basketball at the Division 2 and 3 level is starting up in about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now. And sometimes we talk a lot on the show here on Sportswire about that home cooking. Sometimes you get a chance to sleep in your own bed. Obviously, you're in a different place, but you're a Jersey guy through and through, and you get a chance to have your family watch the show. And did you feel maybe that extra motivation, that extra pep in your step because you saw friends and family that maybe they either haven't seen you before, or maybe they haven't watched you in a while, and that kind of was the driving factor in getting that victory again over two very established teams? I mean, talk to me about that.
I mean, it really truly was like it definitely just being out there and you know you know how wrestling goes. You get your butt beat a little bit, and then you
Sure.
then you bounce back. So being out there and just hearing not just the fans, but just hearing your own family cheer for you and talking about get up. You still got more fight in you. And you definitely at that point just
That's
being
like
like,
in
all right,
Rocky when I think Rocky's down and then you hear Mickey telling him to get up. Come
come
on, get
on,
up.
yeah. That is definitely what it felt like, and just like a variation of you know let's talk about that match for a second. Roland Havoc hit a crossbody on me and
I know,
my on
and
me and my
Roland Havoc was not in pants. He was like in like shorts. It almost looked like he was in like a ruthless aggression attire. Almost, it was like retro Roland Havoc.
it definitely was, and he meant business that night. He really definitely did.
But when does he
Just to
not though?
see
I mean, you've seen him in DBW. What he's done there. I mean, ask our guest on Thursday, the Mauler Brandon Castelli, about how he felt about Roland Havoc. When does Havoc not talk business or do business?
I mean, that man just he's got that dog in him, honestly, and he came howling. So just to see him just fly towards you, you it definitely sends like a little bit of a holy shit
I
moment
had him
right
on here
there.
twice. Trust me, I've had him on here twice, and I'm like, I think the guy likes me, but I certainly wouldn't want to be on his bad side in the ring.
Exactly. I wouldn't want to be either. That's why I mean even being in the ring with Roland and knowing that, oh, okay, this is the part here because this is a big man. I mean, I'm not at that I don't feel
You're
like
not Chase Wakefield, who's like 10 pounds. You're not like a stick figure or even less than a stick figure, but you are like compared to, and we love the Bitcoin billionaire, though, again, you still really aren't making billions in Bitcoin, but, different point, different discussion. But, you're not really like a short guy either. So, but he makes you look kind of like not diminutive in the ring, but rather maybe less than what you normally would look.
yeah. yeah, so that was definitely something to have to adapt to because when I guarantee when my uncle and everything like that had to see me get in the ring with that, they're like, that is a big man. Like, what is he gonna pull out against this? And I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. I'm like, I don't,
Yeah, I could
but
listen. Like I said, I've had him on here twice, so you don't have to sell me on that. And I know he's here later on. But again, you obviously have seen these guys in the ring. Colin, you've wrestled before for singles gold in EBW Pro, and in DBW, you obviously wrestle Richie Blanco and Rob Blade, and they're a phenomenal team in their own right. You saw obviously what happened to you. You got a front row seat, unfortunately, at the end of the match in World War. But I mean, like, talk about those opponents and just what you learn from the ring and what they do, because in a lot of ways they're similar, but obviously they have such different in-ring styles, and especially with the Stompers and obviously 2/3 of Ego.
yes, with the Stompers, I realized that that night and even in DBW, they are willing to do anything they have to do to get the win, even if that means at the scummiest means necessary. At least
Well,
with facing
well,
Roland.
Mr. T3 himself certainly did a number on you guys in DBW. We'll get to that later on. Even the Big Techs. I mean, they basically took down the Big Techs, which was certainly, I think everybody was like, are they really going to do that? Well, they did.
Yeah, and that's it was them moments specifically and leading up to facing them in EBW Pro, which really made me think, yeah, you know what, you have to keep that in the back of your head that facing the team even with Colin Graves and Roland Havoc, you know, I, I know that the Ego is one of the best tag teams I have watched and been like privileged to see
Sure.
in recent times. And watching them, like when they get the win, it's they get that win with conviction. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
listen, all three of them, in their own right, certainly Austin, Colin, and Mr. Havoc. I know the Blaze, Ace Christian's a part of Ego and DBW. We really think about the three of them, the core three, what they've done in the ring individually and certainly as a team collectively, is, again, very impressive.
I mean, uh, honestly, very like in my I remember coming up in EBW, debut match I had was up against Roland Havoc and DJW, and I remember just being in that ring for the first time and just that's still at the same time it's one big man, and then getting to work with Austin James, and he is one hell of a talent from
Our
Ego, so you
champion,
can't ever.
our champion in EBW Pro. I mean, it speaks for
Yes,
itself.
yes, he absolutely deserves it.
Oh, no
um
question. We had him on a couple weeks ago. What he does in the ring, I mean, he's really showed himself a guy that is, really one of the best in the ring, pound for pound. I mean, I would put him up against anybody out there.
Honestly, and that's why it's always a privilege and an honor to work with him. I had got to work a singles match with him and working with Colin. It's just all legendary because of you go from watching these guys in videos, and then you have the chance to face them, and you're like, this truly means something deep in here. And not to undermine the Stompers because they are an incredible tag team, but like I said, they are just willing to do anything to get that win. And the standpoint that I am at, the standpoint that Jacob Cassidy is at, we want to get the wins, and if we take a loss, we got to sit and think and reevaluate what the next actual game plan is, because no matter what, Chaos Conspiracy is for the people. And no matter what that being, when we get that win, it is not only for us, but it is for the people that are watching.
I wanted to talk about that for a second, and I will get to comments right after this, but there was a showing of mutual respect before and after the match in EBW Pro. Talk about that for the audience, because you don't see that so often here. I mean, I speak with teams all over the place, and you usually don't get that too often. So I'm kind of curious, and that was almost like a throwback to yesterday and the kind of the mutual respect and the handshakes, and talk about that.
I mean, respect is something that is just purely earned and not just given.
Absolutely.
Roland is an absolute veteran of the sport. Colin
Yes.
himself, you know,
Yeah, Colin's been
completely
at it a
graduated.
while, like kind of like deceptively a while he's been around.
And honestly, ever since, Chaos Conspiracy has been a thing, I've been wanting to work with Ego and any other tag team out there. So that right there was, win, lose or draw, good guy, bad guy, doesn't matter. I'm still going to shake your hand like a man because we have nothing but respect for you. Thank you for being in this ring. You know, you guys are established, and how I feel is there's all types of talent around, and you could be young and up and coming. You can be a grizzled young, you could be grizzled veteran. But it's just that respect that you have, and technically we never pinned Ego, so that's also just and they couldn't, thanks to Jacob Cassidy, hitting Colin Graves with a forearm, they didn't have the chance to break the pin either. So it's just that sign of respect of, hey, you guys came up short, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't see Chaos versus Ego in a
Well,
match.
you know what? If you guys
Yeah.
get those tag team championships, hey, maybe that could happen down the road. We can certainly find out. And I want to say hello to a bunch of people here because people have wanted to say hello here for a while. I want to say hello to our friends over at the Alliance Wrestling League. I promised management there that we will get back to doing some coverage there. They have a brand new world champion, Christopher James. We certainly have now some new alliances there also in the AWL, and I want to shout everybody out there in the AWL, and we'll definitely have some coverage there. Their most recent episode is up on their YouTube page. Check them out. I want to say hello to Skulls the Soul Hunter, not related to the Boneshaker. He's in the state of
Oh,
California, learning his way to cut his teeth in the business. Speaking of people nearby, I want to say hello to our friend Ron. Ron is here. This individual
hello,
says,
everyone.
"Good evening, everyone ready to be on the show. I feel like I know who this person is, but I don't want to say who it is, but I certainly want to say thank you to them who are tuning in." This individual, who I think you probably know who it is, hence the emoji, says Robert. But let me get to a rather serious comment of a guest coming up in the future. No, it's not Mr. Judgment tomorrow, though. He's coming 8:30. But it is one of our new champions in DBW who is back and back with a vengeance. That is the
Mm.
It Factor Cyrus, and he wants to remind you, the Bone Shaker, huh? Nothing was shaken when you stepped into the ring with me. Now, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, would you like to respond to what
I
Mr.
would
Cyrus
actually like to respond to this. I would like to respond to this.
and you, sir?
Nothing was shaken. Especially wasn't shaken my hand after I reached it out to go shake the It Factor's hand. Somebody that I've been watching in DBW, someone that I would consider even a hero to myself.
Yeah.
I could tell you if nothing was
Been around
shaken,
a
the
long
most
time. He's
important,
been around a long time in this sport.
an
Another guy
absolute
like a Roland
long
Havoc
time.
who's been in this sport, and has certainly done it all.
But if we're talking about the most important things that weren't shaken, you never shook my hand. So if we're talking about that, um, I would love to step back in the ring with him again. Maybe face him now that everything is said and done. And I definitely feel like in my somewhere down the line with the future with DBW, I feel like the Bone Shaker and the It Factor definitely need to step back and butt heads once again because I will get you to shake my hand.
But now that he's back with gold, it's his discretion. It's going to be his call. I mean,
It can
could
be his call, but if he does, saying here right now, Cyrus, I'm looking directly at you through this screen. Whenever you want to run it back, if you'd like to run it back, if you're not scared of the big bad bone shaking daddy, I would graciously accept any challenge that you would have stepping forward for that beautiful gold, that DBW Global Championship that you now hold over your shoulders.
Now, let me conversely be objective for a second. Now, I'm obviously going to certainly try to say it from the advantage of your standpoint and certainly from Mr. Cyrus, but Mr. Cyrus is not in the business of handshaking. He's in the business now of collecting titles and basically further cementing his legacy in DBW. Is it really up to him to shake your hand? I mean, theoretically in wrestling, this has come up. I don't know why in the last couple of shows on Sportswire, but there's people in this business who A want to make money, win championships, and B those who care about what the fans think. And Cyrus is clearly in the business of Cyrus, and the cat may even agree with you or not. I mean, I was just with the cat in the
The cat,
background there.
the cat definitely does agree.
So
Cat
talk
definitely does
about
agree.
that then. And what is the cat's name, by the way? It's not the It Factor Cyrus, right? Is it by no chance it's Cyrus the It Factor? Is
No, this is not. This is not the It Factor. Sorry, this would be
that...
Nala. This would be Nala right here. But Nala also. We're talking about, when that's something that you just completely brought up that just hit me just now. Cyrus is in business for Cyrus. Every time I step in that ring, I'm in business for everyone in the crowd, everyone in the locker room, everybody in DBW, because we are all one huge big family, no matter how
Yes,
chaotic
I have
it can
heard that.
truly
Yes.
be.
Hmm.
It was an honor to not only face the It Factor, but little does he know, it was an honor even to lose against him, because if
An honor to lose? An honor to
let me
lose? We got
let me
baseball game
explain.
7 going on, and I don't think the Rangers or the Astros are going to say it's an honor to lose to the team that goes to the World Series. You have to elaborate on this, sir.
I will completely elaborate, because let's think, if the Boneshaker was in business for the Boneshaker, then Cyrus most likely would have never made it through that tournament, and I could be standing here, your DBW global champion. But when I mean to say when it was an honor, because how I look at it, well, yeah, it was his return, but it was more than just a warm up. He's facing someone young and up and coming up into a company that
I
he
would
has been
agree with
around
that.
and that
I would
he's
agree.
been in the foundation for. Just because I lose to him now doesn't mean that I can't meet him somewhere down the line in the future and really show him who the last Boneshaker is.
All right. Well, we'll certainly stay tuned and we'll give some plugs out in a second. And I want to say hello to Patrick, who I definitely think I know who Patrick is, but I'm going to certainly just say Patrick Daniels. I have my family at my shows, so yes, it means more when family are there. Yeah, I could see that. Some people sometimes get really focused by that. And I'm pretty sure that this person you know very well, who might be your other half, will certainly leave the third wall out there and says he killed me, meaning Mr. Havoc. And
Yes.
someone related to Mr. Havoc would like to say, "I'm a good guy." I'll get back to you on that, but he certainly gives respect to you and your tag team partner. Hopefully, he doesn't drive like everyone else from Jersey. Well, I'm in New York. You think it's better in New York? I mean,
Listen, I can promise you and guarantee you that I do not hit the Jersey slide. So,
okay, all right.
which the
All right.
Jersey slide is when you're on any big highway and it's just you don't hit your blinker and you swerve throughout all the lanes just to hit that exit that you're getting ready to miss because you've seen it and you knew that you had to make that exit. So that's what the Jersey slide is. It's basically a good luck everyone else.
Oh wow. Okay. You know what? I mean, as though I'm from New York, Jersey to me is almost like Baghdad. It's like I really don't know Jersey that well. I mean, I've worked a little bit in Jersey, but I know you're from South Jersey. I mean, I generally know like where like points in Jersey, but like you have to forgive me. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so like in everything, like even like in the rest of the state is almost like a foreign country. But I mean, I know Jersey to some extent. I do have one funny quick Jersey story. As a kid, I helped my father's friend move at the time to Keyport, New Jersey, and the running joke was A, it was a Sopranos episode was taped there, and B, Hoffa was on the where this guy moved to at the time. It was almost I think the running joke was he would say, "Oh, that on the side of it was like the side of a highway. I don't remember what it was. I was like 10, and he was like, "This is probably where Hoffa was buried." So that was kind of my running from Keyport, New Jersey, which was I think kind of I think in central Jersey. But that's here nor there. Rob and Jacob are going to be one of the best. We'll certainly talk more about that. And he says, "Yes, I'd like to work with you, Robert." And he says, "Yes, I am who you think I am," which is why I'm going to certainly leave names out and say thank you very much for tuning in, sir. Speaking of another individual that I know very well here. Good evening again, Sir Tom. Your guest has such a majestic beard. Yes, he does. Michael had a video on Facebook today when he was doing cleaning. Now, I mean, I don't know if I would have been brave enough to do a Facebook video of me cleaning anything, but certainly he is brave enough to do that, and I appreciate the fact that he has tuned in here tonight. I think this individual you might even be sitting next to says your hairline is messed up, Robert. Well, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's Shawn Michaels like 2004 to like 2012. I mean, that was now that you got that joke. I mean, Shawn Michaels had like the hairline.
This
was
man's
bad.
gonna make me lose my smile or something.
I don't think
gonna
it's
make me-
I don't think it's Shawn Michaels level. I don't
Look,
think
man,
it's on
I'm a heel to you in the ring. I gotta be a heel in real life, okay?
Hey, listen, it'd be your own people sometimes. It'd be your own people.
I have a ton of comments here, which I, usually get a lot of them, but this is a lot. So let me just read off them. Yo, Robert, proud of your accomplishments. You can do anything you set your mind to. Love your pops. So I guess it's safe to say, is this the big guy, the old man that's here tuned in? Does love your pops. Love you, pops.
Love your pops. You know what? My pops, rest his soul. He's been deceased since 2014.
Nobody
But
said love your pops, and I was like, I don't
but
know.
listen, I will take this to heart because because I feel as if him and my grandmother who had passed away are consistently looking down and watching me. So that almost got me. You almost had me.
I got a lot of comments here to get to, so hold on. That not so fast, as Lee Corso would always say. So let me get to a ton of these comments because I don't think you'll be.
I love these. I love the comments. We keep it flowing.
I was always wondering who was the first Boneshaker is. So you want to answer that before I get to a more serious comment?
Listen. I've gotten this at least once before. The whole fact of me being the last Boneshaker is me being the first and the final, the last Boneshaker. There was only just part of this. I want to believe I'm part of this dying breed. So I want to consider myself the first and the last Boneshaker, but I will not undermine. I'm not going to dodge this any further. Bone Daddy, I know who you are. I'm not trying to step on your shoes. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I am the first and the last Boneshaker.
Well, okay. Well, I guess very few people can say they're the first and last of anything. So congratulations to you. But let me get to Cyrus in a second, but first, let me get to Michael. Pat, you're a huge family. He's basically revealing who Pat is without saying it. A company that we do a lot of work with, very similar to DBW, XCW, Explosive Championship Wrestling, almost like the Midwest version of DBW. Obviously, another company that we certainly love very equally to DBW. And he says, thank you, Michael. But let me come back to Mr. Cyrus. Shake your hand, question mark. I will never shake the hand of someone I sent to the tag team division. I'll take on you and your sidekick, Jacob Cassidy. Hell, add even somebody that you might be sitting next to, and I'll gladly send you all packing. What do you want to say toward that?
Wow. So the hole just keeps getting dug even further, I see. So
I want to remind
now
you
you're
one more thing before you go any further. Cyrus likely going to be back on Sportswire next week, so certainly, you might want to keep that powder at least dry for a little bit because he's going to be back here and he's got a lot to say. He's requested a microphone.
okay. Perfect. I'll be watching.
Oh,
I'd
yeah?
love to hear what he has to say. But let me just attack this right here.
Sure.
I'll take you. Set me to the tag division. You'll take on me and my sidekick. Well, first of all, there is no. We are both equals. Me and Jacob Cassidy are both equals in Chaos Conspiracy, and that's what makes it too damn good. And I'd love to step up to you again. I'm sure Jacob Cassidy would, and hell, I'm sure Jackson Sabre would too. But there's one thing that I can guarantee. Ever since we've made our impact here in DBW, and especially after facing you this first time, and sending you on in tournament to go and win the gold. Just because you have that gold, that doesn't you don't scare me exactly. If anything, that puts even more of a target on your back because now you're not just mentioning me. Now you're mentioning, my tag team partner Jacob Cassidy and somebody that is another big man that's making his impact in DBW as well. And it's exactly what I'm getting to. Now that we're here, DBW is our home, just like it is to you. And you could take us on, but I can guarantee that you will not be sending us packing. If anything, I can guarantee that, you may be that same man that you came back, that you wanted to be. You want to be in business for Cyrus. But I do want to guarantee you this. If you do decide to do something like that, hell, if you want to get that past management, that's fine. But you will be going in that ring, the it factor, Cyrus. But who knows? You might potentially come out of that ring completely different man, a completely different person, because we are completely different talents on the roster for DBW now.
Well, I'm sure that he's going to have a lot to say about that, and I'm sure he's going to certainly disagree because he's the one with that global championship, which is global, by the way, and he's the one that defeated the Bitcoin billionaire Chase Wakefield, by the way. He did defeat him, so for that championship. So, I mean, certainly
Hey,
right now, he's feeling good. He's feeling great right now, Cyrus. Cyrus feels like, and you can't blame him. So, I mean, obviously, he's going to have a lot to say. And I'm sure it's going to be up to him if he wants to address what you're saying to him. So certainly I'll get to more comments here. I want to say hello to our friends from the state of Ohio, which is not quite the Mid-Atlantic, but it's close enough. And it's called DKW from Mr. Dark Cryptic Wrestling. And the boys are here. And obviously they have a big show in July called Summer Bash. They say hello. And he says, my Facebook Live is usually me dancing and cleaning, just being goofy right now. I couldn't really do that for two reasons. One, I have almost 2,000 followers. And two, secondly, I have worked in the world of politics, and chances are my state representative will call me, which has already happened when I've said something on a Sportswire show. And he said, hey, I just tuned onto Sportswire and you said something. So if I did a dancing and cleaning goofy video, I will certainly hear about it from everyone around town. So I'm glad you do it, Michael. Do them for me, my man. And he says it's Howard. Okay. Well, hi, Howard. How are you? Nice to see you.
That is thank you, Pops. That right there is my brother's father, but he's also a father to me. So thank you. Thank you. I didn't know it. I just seen that it said Gus Glop, and I just
Stewart Star Wars icon photo there. Thank you for that. Okay, let me get to some more names and comments. This individual who you might be sitting next to, I'll even let you pick the stipulation, Cyrus, and I'll happily make you a former champion. Well, I'm sure that the It Factor will tell us a different take next week on the show. Stay tuned for a date to be announced, maybe even tomorrow night when Mr. Judgment makes his return for his victory celebration on Sportswire. He's going to have 2 championships to celebrate because there's another name that he goes by, another company that he won a YouTube championship there, and he's going to talk about that. I heard you mention me briefly. What's up, Boneshaker? So obviously that's that. And before I get to Mr. Cyrus, I want to say hello to my buddy in Australia, Mr. Ace Reed at the Wired Up Podcast. It is 12:15 p.m. in Australia, 14 hours ahead. I must wonder, Ace Reed, do you ever go anywhere? I always feel like I see you on Sportswire. You must have notifications on me, and I really appreciate that. Ace is a good dude. He's a good young man, and I thank him for everything that he is doing. Check out his podcast. Check out his shows. But the It Factor Cyrus certainly has you in his crosshairs. The hole keeps getting bigger and bigger for all of you, as it's going to be needed to be big enough for all 3 of you. Stipulation, Saber, I'll gladly pick any stipulation since Chapter 1 has ended. Chapter 1 has ended.
Chapter 1 is ended, and it's going to be quite a journey to see what the rest of the book of Cyrus consists of, because I know that not only Saber will be there, not only Cassie will be there, but I will be there too. And you state that you'll never shake my hand, but maybe I have to give you that beating that maybe you need to get in order for you to finally shake my hand. And I am willing to do that no matter what cause. Because Cyrus, still to this day, even after you not shaking my hand, even after you making me look like a clown out there, which usually I don't need a lot of help looking like a clown, okay? But
I'm gonna say
you
no
personally,
comment.
that's
It was funny.
I
It was
I
funny.
still have a lot of respect for you, Cyrus. I
But he's
still
gonna look at
honestly
you.
look.
I got that, but he's gonna look at you and say, "You're not in his league. He's been at the top of the game, and he's still going." I mean, he's even got a son that's a pro that's been in DBW. I mean, if we're gonna really break the fourth wall, I mean, his offspring, unlike Mr. Judgment's offspring, have been extremely successful. I mean, Mr. Judgment's offspring, he basically put in the ground. I mean, Cyrus's offspring have gone on and become big time players. I mean, he's gonna look at you and say, "Yeah, kid, he could be toying with you. He could be toying with your emotions right now."
He could absolutely be toying with my emotions, but see, that's the thing. Then getting the emotions into it, um, all that everything is going to take is just going to now the emotions have been played in it even more because to everybody, maybe I just seem like a crying little baby's talking about, oh, I didn't get my hand shaken. I didn't get my hand shaken. But it
Well,
means
I mean,
more.
it's a rather interesting take here on Sportswire. So, I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've interviewed professional athletes. I've interviewed World Series champions. I've interviewed guys who've played in the Stanley Cup Finals, guys who have won championships in college basketball, guys who have played professionally overseas, and I've had, of course, thousands of wrestlers, just about. Maybe somebody can fact check me. It's pretty much close to that number in all forms all around the world. And I've had boxing champions on. I even had the female version of Mike Tyson in Australia. And I never heard any of them basically crying about a handshake. There is a point that he is kind of making a point here that, crying about a handshake, it's like crying about spilled milk, some may say.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. I definitely feel like it is making it seem out that way. But to me, it's more than a handshake. Ever since being in DBW, I really have felt the love from the DBW universe. I have definitely felt the love from a lot of people that I just the atmosphere. But he is the one person I feel like who has just straight denied me, just straight really hit me with that just right in the gut, like right in the feelings. And that's one thing that comes with wrestling. Yeah, you are going to get your feelings hurt. You're not always going to get what you want, and that's absolutely fine. But I get it. Cyrus is past that stage, but I know deep down within him there's still the Cyrus that I know and that I look up to and that I respect. And I know deep down that is going to be the Cyrus that will eventually cave and will shake my hand.
Well, we'll certainly find out. I have more comments even. I don't think I've had, and I get a lot of comments. I don't think I've had this many comments on
I'm loving
Sportswire
this.
in ages. Maybe people are like, "Wow, it's a Monday night, and I'm disappointed about baseball. I'm disappointed about football, Raw, and people want to comment." Cyrus has returned again here. Hell, invite Howard to watch you all fall, and then he can even be more proud of you as you lay helpless after another loss from the embodiment of greatness. Like I said, even his offspring, they've been successful. I mean, unlike Mr. Judgment's offspring, some would say. I'm just saying,
I mean, hell, we could invite Howard. Howard could be there. It would be even more of an honor to really see if you can put exactly your money if you could walk this walk like how you talk it, the embodiment of greatness.
He's got the global
Congratulations.
championship, though. He's been a world champion. He's been in all other companies. I mean, he has backed it up. You even said it that you looked up to this man.
I have. And like I said, I still do. That's why, as I know deep down in me, I'm still fighting for the good that is in Cyrus. But just seeing everything that he's saying now, hell, that not only makes me want to get in the ring with him even more again at this point, well, it even has more of a point that I need to prove now. This is more than just a qualifying match for the global championship. This is more than that. This is something more personal now. So being in this
Interesting.
ring with him again will mean a little bit more than what it did before.
Hmm.
Because now I'm not going to be looking for this handshake. I'm just going to have to keep busting him down and shaking his bones until he caves in.
Well, I don't know if he's going to cave in, but I promise you I'm going to talk to him next week, and he's going to tell us what he thinks about you and everything else in DBW. So I will tell you, stay tuned for that, and you may even see him when it comes to Everybody's Done after trick-or-treating. So that's a cheap little clue here. You'll get the announcement tomorrow night, though, when Mr. Judgment is celebrating, which I'm sure you'll be tuned in for that with a vested interest. But speaking of people that you teamed up with not too long ago, of course, Big Tex, who is a big man, by the way, very big man, and he might be as big as the state of Texas, figuratively and literally, which is saying something. He says, it's Big Tex, by the way, and Cyrus, maybe I come after that title and end that title reign very quickly. Everybody's coming after Cyrus the It Factor, but something tells me here that Cyrus is very comfortable, and he should be, because since he has come back to DPW in this past summer, he has been very strong. Let me get to a lot more comments. I got tons of them, so I won't even give my opinion. Let the people speak. Your tag team partner says, don't worry about a handshake after one of us beats Cyrus. Chaos Conspiracy will have the gold. Hashtag too damn good. Well, we'll see. I mean, obviously, you guys might even want to focus on those tag team titles now that Ego lost them, because the Heretics has those belts, and Mr. Judgment's certainly going to be talking about that tomorrow night. He's a very, very happy man these days. Put his son in the ground and took those tag team titles from Ego. So maybe you and Mr. Cassidy have a path to those tag titles instead of worrying about Cyrus the It Factor.
Listen, we definitely do have some business with the Stompers, but after we get the Stompers out of the way, even with the Stompers here now, I can't deny that is a thought on our mind, is capturing that DBW Tag Team Gold. It's a really established, because it all stands for dominance, and in DBW, if you don't have the dominance, then clearly you're going to get undermined. You're going to get underlooked and maybe even undervalued, because I know that's exactly how Cyrus is looking at me. And Big Tex, I do want to put this out there, as we're here live on one of the best shows that I could possibly be on.
I don't know about that, but I'm sure you can go on somebody else's show. And you can
hey, listen, I do know about it, man, and I do want to say here, Big Tex, man, I love you to death, brother, and honorary, listen, the invite is here, and I'm sure Cassidy would agree with me. If things ever in your career, if you ever start questioning, or if you ever feel like no one has your back, just know it's too damn good. And buddy, listen, we'd love to make you a member of Chaos Conspiracy.
Wait. Timeout, as Zach Morris used to always say in Saved by the Bell. Might be a little bit past you. Maybe Cyrus would probably get the reference there. But, I mean, are you saying here live on Sportswire Radio that you want Big Tex to join Chaos Conspiracy with you and Jacob Cassidy? Is that what I just heard?
That is exactly down to the T of what you just heard. The invite is out there for the big man. I know that in DBW right now, it's Big Tex and Graves, and they're doing wonderful things, and hey, they have our back, so we have theirs. But I'm extending the arm, to Big Tex as one of our biggest talents we have. Big Tex, if you ever want to be too damn good, just Chaos Conspiracy, we're open invitation to join up with us.
Interesting. I think here things are starting to get real interesting on Sportswire Radio tonight, live on a Monday night, nonetheless. Jackson Saber wants to say the first chapter ends and the conclusion is on the rise. I like your confidence, Cyrus, but it's time for the new blood to take over the global division. We'll have to find out, though. He's the reigning, defending global champion, and he'll have, I'm sure, a lot to say about that next week on the show. But I want to say hello to management, because management is always supporting us. Speaking of plugs, I want to plug management here for a second. You can make sure you follow management, watch World War on YouTube, Dominating Breakout Wrestling. Check them out on Twitter, Wrestling DBW, Facebook, Dominating Backyard Wrestling, and make sure you support Dominant Breakout Wrestling. The last Boneshaker, amazing addition to our DBW roster. One of the best rosters around in this sport, to say the least. And I have a lot more comments. I even have more comments that popped up. So let me get to them here. I feel like I'm going to try to run the 2-minute drill here, like hopefully somebody else can do in the NFL a little bit better than me, along with Chaos Conspiracy. And it's also here. It's time for me to prove why I am the most dangerous and up-and-coming threats in DBW. And sad to say, you're a footnote in my story, my legacy, and that's in caps, the word "my." And he's talking about Mr. Cyrus. But like I said, Mr. Cyrus is going to address this next week, and something tells me here that he's not worried about it too much. Speaking of people,
he's going to be having a lot of eyes watching.
Speaking of world champions, here I want to say hello to Mr. Joe Stone. And Joe is obviously a part of things in the Midnight Express in the IMF. He says, "Hey, Tom and Mr. Bone Crusher, how you doing this evening, Joe? I've had on the past." Yeah, it's always like this in your life on Sportzwire. I always see somebody that has come on here and just wants to say hi, and I'll let him say hi. It looks like here, Big Tex is saying that he's got your back, and he likes to have you guys having his back. So maybe there is something to that. And speaking of people that are going to be here tomorrow, who are going to have a lot to say in his victory speech, the reigning, defending DBW champion, the final boss himself, the prophet of purgatory, Mr. Judgment, even filth bags. I heard the name of the prophet being used. He's here. He's here.
The prophet is here, and the prophet is watching. I'm glad that he is.
And the prophet is here, filth.
Filth.
So, yeah. So, anything you want to say to the champion? Because the champion is going to be here tomorrow night. He is going to address the nation. Usually you see like a president will have the State of the Nation, and people will talk about whether things are good, things are bad. But basically tomorrow is going to be, and I know Mr. Judgment will actually appreciate this because he probably won't admit this in a past life. He has a background in this, but he's going to have his state of the DBW nation, or the state of the Sportswire nation, tomorrow night in his victory speech, 8:30 p.m.
And I will definitely be watching. And just what I'd like to say to Mr. Judgment is, I am up and coming. I am new. I am a great addition to this roster, as we had just seen. Hopefully, somewhere down the line, after the Boneshaker handles business, I could step in the ring with the prophet of filth.
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody wants a piece of the champion, and I'll let the champion talk about that tomorrow night and some. He's certainly going to be celebrating because he's going to be having a lot to certainly talk about, and I'll certainly let him do that talking. And the prophet is near filth, and Mr. Cyrus says, yes, exclamation points, the prophet has arrived. Michael Blackheart says, maybe just words, I can feel the fire. He feels the fire tonight. Let's start the s'mores. And speaking of bands from New Jersey, there was a band called Overkill that had an album called Feel the Fire. So certainly they were one of the legendary bands. They weren't quite in the big four of thrash metal. They were in the second tier, but they did have an album called Feel the Fire. And we feel the fire here when it comes to the Boneshaker. And he says here, bow to me, mortal. And he brings his picture just in the last few minutes, just to say that. So like I said, you got to be careful when you address the champion. The DBW champion is going to be here tomorrow night in one of the most long-anticipated shows here on Sportswire. He makes his return, and Jackson Saber says no. My buddy, who I'm pretty sure is from another company that's similar to DBW, who would like to come on Sportswire, stay tuned is all I'll say on that. Boneshaker, you got this. I know how it feels to look up to someone they turn on you, because I look up to someone and he turned on me too. And by the way, I know who that individual is that turned on him. And I know about somebody else who turned on him and had gold, but lost the gold. But I'll talk about that and another time because I think he knows who I'm talking about. So I'm going to leave that. But I got a lot of comments here. I mean, I don't even have to ask you questions. I'm just going to just read these comments up. Listen, I'll gladly take you on 2-on-1. Myself against Chaos Conspiracy, and that is hashtag too damn no good. Too damn no
Ooh,
good. Boy, he
too
just
damn
turned
no good.
around what Jacob Cassidy had to say. He's saying too damn no good.
Hey, that's listen. Now that I've seen this, now I know I'm getting into the it factor's head, and that is too damn good. Okay, because too damn no good. That's a horrible way for him to be talking about himself like that, you know. But 2-on-1, listen, he must be feeling real great, real good. Like I said, Cyrus still has this target on his back. It's not just me. It's not just Jacob Cassidy that has our eyes set on facing the it factor. He's got eyes and he's got fists that are be coming from all types of
I would
angles.
even say Aaron Jones, maybe, if you saw what happened at World War. I mean, you know, there's going to be a
that
lot of
dude is just over as heck.
Well, I'm going to ask him these questions. I promise you, there's going to be an announcement tomorrow night on Cyrus, the It Factor returning, the global champion, and he has agreed to come on to Sportswire Radio. We were able to come to terms with the It Factor and meet his stipulations. He is returning to Sportswire Radio. That will all be revealed when, where, what time, how to watch it. Well, you know how to watch it, but when and where, it'll be tomorrow. I thought that was funny. At least I might have laughed. But Big Tex wants to say, Boneshaker, I'll take you up on an invite because we will show people this is Tex country and we are too damn good. Although Cyrus says you're too damn no good. And Mr. Judgment will be a sermon of magnificent celebration. And I am looking forward to that because, by the way, I am a reverend and I do a lot of sermons. I do a lot of that stuff here on Sportswire over the years. I definitely do that. And I will say that if Mr. Judgment wants, before the year is out, I will certainly, if he's so kind enough and gracious to accept, to induct him into my Sportswire Radio's Hall of Fame. But that's up to Mr. Judgment. That's up to Mr. Judgment. I know he's a busy man. He's got autograph signings. He's got meet and greets. He's got world country takeovers, State of the Nation addresses, other companies where he's dominating. So it's up to him if he would accept that offer. And Cyrus says it will be a glorious sermon. You know, I have conducted a few sermons from Sportswire. I think somebody messaged me once and said, you know, Tom, you know, you gave this speech, this sermon. I feel like I really do. I have it somewhere. And somebody actually told me it was almost like they were back in church. I'm like, well, I don't think I was that religious, but certainly Mr. Judgment would like to say, your heart has guided you to the most dominant roster on the planet. But for all the heart you have, your soul will be mine. Like saying with Mr. Judgment, the final boss, careful what you wish for.
The final boss, my soul will be his. My soul is not just here for the taking. It is not. I wear my heart on my sleeve, maybe, but
yeah,
my soul will never be taken by Judgment. See, he's the final boss. He is this prophet. But what is a prophet to a Boneshaker? What is the final boss?
A prophet knows.
First and last Boneshaker.
But a prophet knows what's going to happen. They can basically visualize it, and it happens. That's what a prophet is. A prophet is somebody that basically they know what's going to happen, and they basically they are prophets because they obviously have the insight and the ability to know and make it happen. I mean, that's what a prophet is.
Who's to say that maybe the Boneshaker isn't here just to change that fate around? Who's to say that the Boneshaker couldn't be the one to prove the prophet wrong?
Well, I don't
to
know
manifest
why,
something else into not only this universe but into the DVW universe.
Well, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I keep thinking the Boneshaker. I keep thinking of two things. One, Motley Crue, Rattlesnake Shake, Dr. Feelgood. Then when I was a kid, I haven't had it in ages, but when my mother would cook chicken on the bone and it was like shake and bake, but that's like was the jokes now. I'm not going too well tonight, but I want to say hello to somebody that was actually in the audience here at World War. That was Mr. Craven himself, obviously, Chris Craven. You met him at the show was there, obviously, and he's a big reason of why we love DBW on Sportswire. We call him the coach. We'll certainly look forward to maybe seeing him down the road back on the show, and he gives a big DBW chant. He said, "Don't be messing with the judgment." So obviously, somebody knows something that might be giving you some respectful advice. And Mr. Cyrus would like to say this. I'll end on this. You just made a rookie mistake. That's okay, though, because after I'm done with you, I'll gladly let the prophet take your soul.
Strong words. Strong words. And honestly, the normal person would be sitting here maybe trembling, maybe trying to backpedal.
Are you ready to
But
backpedal?
I am not ready to backpedal. I will never backpedal on what I said, because you know what I said when I. What is this? What is this? This
You
isn't.
sure
I
you
don't
wanna
think this
backpedal
is.
right now, Cyrus? You can back. There's still time. If you want to backpedal,
No, not especially not to Cyrus. I refuse to backpedal. I'm not going to take back anything that I've said either about him or Judgment. I am choosing to stand my ground. I didn't come to DBW to be a part of dominant backpedal wrestling. You know what I'm saying? This is
you might want to get
this.
it's not dominant backpedal wrestling. It's dominant breakout wrestling, right?
Exactly, and that's why that's exactly what I'm here to break out, and I'm not here to backpedal. I'm going to break out. You can, it's just strong words. These are strong words. We'll just have to see if his words will match his actions next time I'm in the ring with him.
Well, listen, he's going to be here next week, and he's most certainly going to talk about you if he desires. And
I know that he will talk about me. I'm already in his head, and this is already a part of my plan.
Okay, so you say that you're the one that's one-upping him, then, you're saying.
I'm already 10 steps ahead of him because I'm already in his head.
Okay, well, you know
I'm
what?
in the It Factor's head. He's
If
thinking
you're
about me
saying
before he brushes his teeth. He's thinking about me before he throws on his onesie pajamas, okay?
Well, I
He's
don't know
thinking
if I
about
want to
me,
know what he's thinking
Boneshaker.
when he puts his pajamas on. With all due respect to you, sir, whatever he thinks when he's doing that, he may be the global champion, but I would prefer not to think about that. What he thinks about when he brushes his teeth. Anything else? Fair game by me. Fair game. Okay?
Listen, before he goes into the fridge and he grabs out his pack of Lunchables, but only the pizza kind because he doesn't stand the ham and cheese that they make with the other kind of Lunchables. He only likes when he pulls out that Lunchables, he'll be thinking about me.
Well,
okay, when he goes.
In Brooklyn, I was lucky. I will say Lunchables. Growing up as a kid, when I did grow up in Brooklyn, I mean, if I had Lunchables, it was like a good day. Those days we couldn't afford Lunchables. Now I could probably afford the whole cafeteria, but in those days, we couldn't afford Lunchables. So if he's got Lunchables, anything, I say, good luck to him and God bless him. But certainly, let me move on from Lunchables talk because nobody wants to hear us talk about Lunchables. Well, maybe some people do, but I will come back here to Mr. Judgment. I have seen your fate. Your carcass will be a husk of nothing but shaken bones. Oof, boy, oof. I don't even like the sound of that. And Craven likes Judgment's style. Some people do like his style.
Who doesn't?
Well,
who doesn't? I mean,
I think you are shaking a paper hiding behind you. You know what I mean? You may or may not have somebody behind you. You may or may not. And
I may or may not have someone behind me, but I'm definitely not shaking. I shake the bones.
Oh, well, you know what? We'll certainly find out. But while I have a chance here to do a plug, let me do a couple of plugs here because if you are out there and you like to listen to some internet radio, I actually own an internet radio station. That's what Daddy Warbucks can do for you. You can actually do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You've got podcasts from all over the world. If you like wrestling, if you like sports, if you like music, if you like these simulcast shows, you don't want to see our long hair in our face, you can listen to us anytime with the link below for the temporary time being. We'll have a new website at Radio in a few weeks, so stay tuned for more details on that. If you want to watch Sportzwire Radio all the prior to BW shows, you can do that here in the link below. And also, if you want to follow our friends over at BW, you can do that here in the link. So YouTube, watch for more Dominating Breakout Wrestling, Twitter, Wrestling DBW, Facebook, Dominating Backyard Wrestling, and check out the links and buy a shirt. Support DBW. Support DBW all the great things that it does. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, the #1 radio station, your voice of all wrestling. And again, I want to make sure everybody knows one more time that we will have on here Mr. Judgment, the reigning, defending DBW champion of the world, tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Be there or be square. You will not want to miss this one. The champion is going to address the nation, the DBW nation, the Sportswire nation, and the wrestling nation as a whole. And also, I promised a huge plug, but I got to plug my very good friend over at the Five Town Sound men's soccer team, my buddy Jason Christina. His guys won 9-0 on senior day against York College, an accredited NCAA program, and 5 Towns number 7 in the rankings of the USCA, kicked the York Cardinals' butts. In fact, they kicked their butts so bad that, speaking of carcasses, all they were left with was bones. They're called the Cardinals, but all that was left of them was bones. Almost like Dust and Bones, the old Guns N' Roses song from Use Your Illusion 1. And the guys certainly played some Use Your Illusion tricks out there, because they were led by a bunch of different guys, including our junior captain, Angel Chavez, who led the way with Patrick. Also, we had here Saeed Wong scored. We also had Juan Lopez, Sebastian Kunika scored, Eric Gyron, Eric Gruber, who was a USCA player of the week before, scored. Ivano Arziga scored, and of course our guy Stephen Pagoya with another shutout, one of the best goalies in the nation, with another dominant performance. The guys are steamrolling their way here back into the regions, back into the nationals, back up in the rankings. I want to congratulate them. I also want to congratulate all the seniors out there who had a very, very successful day against Stephen Pagoya. I also want to give a huge shout out to Juan Lopez and Saeed Wong, and also everybody else here that was out there, Daniel, and so many other players for the team of the women's team. You can follow the 5 Town Sound Athletics program at 5town_sound. Also, FTC Men's Soccer. Check them out. We will have coverage next month of the guys as they're going to get ready after the Nationals to talk about the season and more. And thank you, Coach Jason Vecina. I hope you like that. Certainly comment there. And the York Cardinals pretty much have no business of being an accredited member of the conference. And I wait for the day that the 5 Town Sound men's soccer team is in places like, I don't know, the Skyline Conference. But here, you're there. We moved on from the plug. And also, Craven would like to say, shake it more than once you're playing with it. Laugh out loud. All right, so you know what? I've talked a lot about different things, but I have to ask you, I mean, what are your goals now? World War, Chaos Conspiracy wasn't successful. Obviously, you're talking a lot of snap tires. Big Tex, okay, maybe he's responded. He can work with you guys further. But we've got Danger Zone coming up in the next 2 weeks. Underpunch shows are also going to be out there, I'm sure. Go to the for some more information. But as the year is crazy and sounds is wrapping up, what is your goal here? The Boneshaker, Robert Pierson, in DBW.
See, my goal has been very simple, and I've stated it ever since the very start, ever since even the thoughts of DBW. My goal is to come in and to be one of the biggest breakouts that have ever been a part in DBW. Not only just myself, but side by side with my tag team partner, Jacob Casti. We do want to be one of the most dominant tag teams in all of DBW history. That setting up towards that goal, yeah, there's always going to be some type of ringers. There's going to be always some type of goal that we have to surpass. As you see, I have this kind of heat with Cyrus alone, and that even itself is distracting me from my main goal. But even at the same time, maybe it's not distracting me. Maybe I have to let this heat and this fire set on fire beneath me and really elevate me to a whole other standard and standpoint, because the goal, even with Jacob Casti and with Chaos Conspiracy, and even just the Boneshaker alone, is to be dominant and to be this breakout. I want to be a fresh of breath air for everyone and everything in DBW. And my goal, with the year getting ready to come to this end, is, Chaos Conspiracy, as it may seem, we have unfinished business with the Stompers. And after we finishing that business with the Stompers, and after everything is said and done, and with Cyrus, the goal is set to eventually, somewhere down the line, even if we have to face Ego, even if we have to face whatever tag team, the goal is set to maybe one day not only just contest for the wonderful DBW Tag Team Championships, but the goal is to become and new, too damn good tag team champions, Chaos Conspiracy.
You're going to certainly have your work cut out for you. It is a very deep tag team division here. We'll see what happens with Ego. If Ego gets back on the mountain, they obviously lost titles that actually didn't have possession of. And Mr. Judgment's going to certainly, I'm sure, gloat about the fact that his Heretics took those titles away from Ego. So we'll see where you fit in this discussion. Obviously, the Stompers are going to disagree with the fact that you guys should get those shots because they got the victory over you guys. They look very impressive. But you guys do have the victory over the Brooklyn Brigade, I think it was, Thunder Punch episode 17. Beat them.
The Brooklyn Prodigies, and they're a wonderful tag team in themselves too. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I appreciate that because I actually was like, I knew I watched that one.
But listen, brother, if there's one thing that I've learned about the Brooklyn Prodigies, they really do not kiss ass. They really do kick ass.
They're from Brooklyn. Listen, take it from me. They're not those guys. They're not kissing butt. Trust me. I mean, I'm the knucklehead that's from Brooklyn also and gotten tons of the same. Well, not quite the same trouble they got because they're a little bit bigger than me. But the point is that those guys aren't kissing butt from where they're from because I know where they're from.
Oh yeah, and it definitely wasn't an easy challenge to beat them. Either we had.
And you guys after the match certainly had some things happen to you.
Yeah, so that shows at least that in my eyes, they, I definitely would love it some point to run it back for the Brooklyn Prodigies, maybe even contest for the tag belts. But like I said, this unfinished business with the Stompers, or this unfinished business with High Power and T3 smacking us with a steel chair, it seems like ever since making this impact in DBW, it's like, ABG, anybody can get it at this point. You know what I'm saying?
I will say this much about the DBW roster with the Boneshaker here. Robert Pierson, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We're hanging out here for about 20 or 25 minutes. This DBW roster is stacked. I mean, this is legitimately. You got to mix. And I was talking about this with Brandon during Thursday's show and throughout almost weekly coverage now of DBW. I mean, this roster, there are companies that have 4, 6, 8, 10 guys, and then there's DBW. DBW has a roster that's one of the bigger in size, but it's also a big company where if you're in DBW, like you got to prove you're in DBW. Like, there's no like, hey, I'm here and I can just take a spot up. No, it's like if you're on this roster, it's a highly, and it's a highly competitive roster. You've got a mix of guys who've been in the Indies. You got a mix of guys who've been here from the beginning. You have a mix of guys like yourself who've been younger talents who maybe worked their way up the ladder from different places. You got a mix of different, let's say, guys with different backgrounds and underground backgrounds. I mean, this is really a competitive roster.
It really is, and that's exactly why you have to. Ever since I've been there, I've always wanted to strive to be better each and every time that I'm there, and really prove my worth not only to the roster but to the universe, to the people there, because it's always something that's more than wrestling when it comes to that. And every time I go there and every time I step in the ring with any talent from DBW, it's just, what, I'm going to prove why I should be here. I'm going to prove why I'm going to be around for years and years to come. And I'm going to prove that, on a roster full of just outstanding and amazing, phenomenal talent, where do I stand? And that's always what's always in the back of my head every time. And I hope to cut it up with at least everybody that is on the DBW roster. And, I may be talking my trash because that's, I don't think anybody in DBW right now would just want me to sit here and be, flabbergasted. I'm speaking my mind, I'm speaking my truths, and I'm speaking my piece, because when it all comes down to it, I have nothing but love and respect for everybody there. But, I'm not just gonna be this new rookie for forever. I'm gonna eventually.
No, I think obviously a rookie is obviously like you're starting out. I mean, obviously what you do after you're no longer a rookie is going to obviously determine how you are viewed in DPW. And listen, I mean, it's a very competitive roster, as I pointed out. Almost, nobody, only a few amount of people, a few small amount on this roster once again would maybe be guaranteed a spot, but it's almost like, again, college basketball season coming here on Sportswire, and I'll speak with these kids, I'll speak with these coaches that'll come on, and most of them aren't guaranteed a spot, and it's the same thing here in DBW. You are not guaranteed anything. You especially, you're a new guy coming in here from a different place, and you're going to have your work cut out for you. Guys are certainly looking at you tonight. You certainly made a name for yourself, sure, but you're taking obviously, some different, offensive approach. Like when it comes to a guy like Cyrus, who's done it all, and even has, generations that are certainly going into the sport and doing big things and are in places that certainly exceed even what some might say about this company. So I'll give you that much in your approach. And Cyrus seems to be not impressed. He's saying tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, almost like my song I put on Instagram when I said I was in Midtown Manhattan today from John Wick. Tick tock, Mr. Wick, tick tock, Mr. Pierson. It very well could be your tick tock, because your indicator could very well be the it factor, Cyrus. And stay tuned tomorrow night for when I announce he returns here. But what does it mean to you to be a part of DBW?
I mean, it means something huge. I've been wrestling for about, it's getting ready to be 5 to 6 years. Yeah. So like, and no other place has really been like the place that I've been to, and it's definitely, like I said, an honor to be on DBW, because I went from watching these guys on YouTube, in the comfort of my home, in the comfort of my own clothing and everything like that, to go there, to be a part of all of this, and to be out there, and to just be in my gear, and be able to just to entertain each and every time they give me time in that ring, each and every time. Sometimes I won't even need time with the microphone. I'll just go out there and just be loud with my voice.
That. You talk pretty well. Some guys come on Sportswire, and I was telling this joke yesterday, and I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for you if any of my UK listeners are more up, I doubt they are. There was a guy I had on the show, and he probably could be in the PWI 500. His ring ability is like no joke. He's like, and I say this in a very loving way, a poor man's Will Ospreay, but he unfortunately has basically the personality of like Elmer's glue. It just sticks, it dries, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I know it's a brutal assessment, but the truth is what it is, but you don't have that problem.
Yeah, because, a part of being a wrestler, and a part of even being on this DBW roster is, I want to be able to make the fans feel something. I want to be able to make people feel something as they're there at the show, and I want them to be able to feel something after they leave, because that's truly what it's all about. There could be someone out there that doesn't have someone to fight for them, or could need someone to fight for them. There could be people out there that have gone through all types of terrible things and doesn't really talk about it. But watching DBW or watching any type of wrestling is their escape, and we'll never truly know. You can't tell when you're out there and you're like, "Come on," and you're tagging people's hands up, but you can make people
on YouTube would say it. Listen, World War, was the company's biggest show in history. Look at the subs, the new subs that are on YouTube. We already had 3,000 plus. Look at the amount of views. I mean, there is people that I would agree with you that actually could fit that description because this is a company. The first day, what is it, 700 views in the first 24 hours? I mean, this is a company that legitimately does have that following. So you're not wrong. You can't say
Yeah.
that that's not true. There are people that might watch BBW and it makes a difference in their lives, and it means something to them. I mean, ratings. Listen, people in this business, even at this level, look at the ratings. And BBW has that following where there's probably somebody that is impacted by it.
And I hope that truly, I would never want to wish anything bad on anybody, but I hope that there is a case to where someone could sit and not even have to just watch one of my matches, but but just to watch DW and to be able to feel like they can escape and be able they can get into something because when I go out there and I do my thing and I'm getting my butt kicked for a while and then I go and kick butt. When I really fire up, I always have them people like I always have people in the back of my head like, yeah, you can get the absolute crap beat out of you, but can you get up afterwards? And when you get up, you know, do it for these people. Like get these people moving and get these, and when I mean moving, and I'm talking not exactly talking about shaking their bones and everything like that. The bone shaker is just like what chaos is to me, and it's for the people, but it's also by the people. When I mean that is like, you know, for a while I truly didn't know exactly who I wanted to be or what I wanted to be. It took years of me being in the wrestling and really just annoying the crap out of my whole family. Uh, my grandmother who took care of me specifically, love her to death, miss her every day. You know, I didn't even know who exactly I wanted to be when she was around. And in a sad sense, now that she's gone and I can't turn to
I'm
her like
sorry.
I usually can,
I'm sorry.
I thank you. You know, one of the I just know a place I want to go train at. I'll just keep it simple and sweet, but I have some of her ashes. And
Oh
when
wow.
I can, and when I will, and I apologize for this because I also forgot to mention I'm currently the EBW Pro um US or Pac 14 US champion there
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
So, when it came down to winning that for the first time last year, December 3rd, I had my grandmother with me. Um, so that's great to see. And now that I know who I am, I know that I am this bone shaker for the people that it's truly for everyone, for the people that maybe don't defend themselves 100%, but for the people that maybe do defend themselves, but still just feel like they're missing something, you know. Um, I apologize for feeling I'm
Well, I
getting
can
off track.
see. Listen, I will certainly take the reins here. I do this all the time. I can see you're an emotional guy. I can see what it means to you. Family means a lot, no question. I can see all those things. And obviously, look, you got fans out there because people are saying right now out there, the Boneshaker, huge fan of yours, can't wait to see what the future holds. There's obviously people out there that do support you. Obviously, and you look with the fans. And there are a lot of people that believe in that stuff. And, like I said, over 1,000 plus people watch World War. There are people out there that watch, whether it's you, whether it's obviously Cassidy, whether it's whether it's his son, whether it's Roland Havoc, whether it's Brandon Castelli, whether it's Austin, Colin Graves, the Heretics, whoever it might be. There are
A
people
lot of
who
them
might
you
watch
just
people.
named there.
And you know what? It could be their escape. It means that much because you guys have that massive following of 3,300 plus subscribers on YouTube, and you can support and follow in these links. But I want to ask you a fun question before I get to closing thoughts and two other things. So, I mean, the beard. I mean, I got mutton chops, but you got the big beard. So, do you have trouble keeping that? I finally have somebody on the show that actually probably has almost as much facial hair, similar, certainly style that I have actually. So I had to ask you a fun question to kind of lighten the mood a little bit.
I mean, man, listen, like I said, Sorry about getting all emotional and everything like that, but
No,
the
it
beard.
happens. Listen, there's people all the time. I do this all the time. Trust me. One of the things I do is politics, and I've helped people's problems. I've, done some things I've actually done to make a difference in people's lives. I won't say it on the end of the show, but feel free to continue.
But hey man, with keeping the upkeep, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's about time the Boneshaker gets maybe a little cleaned up and shaved
No.
up. And no, not like a complete trim down, but maybe just to clean it up. Because if you would be able to tell, I do have an earring, but you can't really entirely
Yeah,
see
I
it
didn't
behind.
really. Yeah, I think it's very. I mean, I knew you had an earring on TV, but it doesn't
Yeah,
really
I mean
cover up.
it's hard to tell because of all the hair and all the beard, but I do have a little golden cross earring.
I think you should keep it. Why not? I mean, I think that
I'm
now
definitely gonna keep it.
look, 10 years ago when I was like in college, it was like there was a period where it was like you couldn't go out in the world and like look like the way we look now. It's like people it's 2023, 2024. People they're over it, but there was a period of time where it was like you had to be a certain way. So I would say keep it. Certainly, it benefits you in the ring, and I would say it was a fun question to try to break the ice a little bit to kind of.
I mean, do you think eventually at some point down the line the Boneshaker would be able to pull off some type of mutton chops? Because that has been a thought of mine to because I remember a couple years ago when I was living with my mom and she had forced me to cut my hair, get a real job, stuff like that. I did cut my
I went
hair.
through that one time. I was right out of high school. One time I was forced to go get a haircut, and then I did it. And then after that, I don't need to anymore because I did it. And that's it. Luckily, I was able to make some money and different things like that, significant money. So now it's like, well, it doesn't matter at this point. But no, I was there one time in my life. One time I was forced to get a haircut. And that was it.
And it's just like I'm sitting here like at least 22 at the time, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, this is my mom telling me this, and I'm like, wow, this kind of stings, and I'm an adult, so I cave in, and I go to go do it, and I cut my hair down a little bit shorter, and I ended up going with this with mutton chops when I went to go trim up the beard, and it truly didn't look that bad, but I do love how it's grown in, but I do think maybe it is time to trim it down just a little bit because it is everywhere. But I will say that during this time, as it is getting colder, I stay warm.
Well, you know what? I will tell you that much from experience. In the wintertime, it definitely helps because now it's been kind of like New York and New Jersey and Maryland and the rest of the tri-state area has been like a yo-yo. It's like one day we're hot, one day we're cold. So I know November and December are coming in January, and you'll definitely appreciate this when it gets down to like 20, 30, 40 degrees. So that's been the one advantage I would say of having facial hair in the last 5 years.
Exactly. Not only that, I don't remember where I had seen it, but I remember reading something about beards that it's having a beard is a sign of you being a warrior in some type of past life.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that too. It's a sign of maturity. It's a sign of battle, and blah 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 blah.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, if I'm a wrestler, if what I would do consists of me getting getting punched in the face a lot, might as well have the extra protection. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I will tell you this: in England, it's actually like this look. Your look is actually more normal. Here, it's like, but I do a lot of British wrestling in Britain and England. This is like normal. It's like, yeah, it's like you're just. I mean, mutton chops are a unique thing, but your look is like normal. It's kind of like, yeah, every like 20 to 30% of the roster has this look, but here it's like you look like you got two heads. And, somebody you might know how to cut it down, you're not going to be told. Well, I mean, it would certainly look different. It would look different. I would say I haven't got a haircut in like over a decade. I've had this going for 5 years. I don't think I can actually do it. So, but before I move on to the other things, look, you have a fan and got emotional. Maybe you can wipe your tears when I end your career. Greatness never dies. A prelude to shots being fired next week. Certainly, you'll want to stay tuned tomorrow night for that announcement. I want to ask you a couple more things here very quickly. First, what would it mean to you for you and Jacob Cassidy to win the EBW Pro?
honestly, it would mean a lot to us because not only would winning them there solidify that we are the top dogs of the tag division there, but it would also give me and Cassidy a lot more confidence and a lot more going into, you know, keeping and being a part of the DBW tag division ourselves. Because if we have that accolade of being the EBW Pro Tag Team Champions, and if we've done it there, then heck, why can't we do it over at DBW? Work our way to the top with those rankings.
No, I think, listen, you've had gold in EBW, and you've certainly proven yourself. You've wrestled different opponents who are here in DBW. So obviously, look, it's a big shot in the arm. It's certainly something that could be right before the end of the year gives you something that, capping your feathers could lead to bigger things here in DBW. We'll certainly find out and stay tuned. And before I get to closing thoughts, I want to ask you, what do you want to say to people that are hearing you for the first time and should want to maybe go along with you, the Boneshaker Robert Pierson, on your journey, especially places like DBW?
Listen, anyone that is watching, anyone that doesn't know of me, I would hope that you will eventually know me at some point, because this world that we live in. I'm going to be in DBW for a long time. I'm going to be around wrestling for an even longer time. And the name Robert Pierson, the name the Boneshaker, just keep along in this journey. There's going to be some roadblocks. There's going to be times where there always truly is, and there's going to be hurdles to hurdle over. There's going to be brass rings to be grabbed, But along this journey, just know that this is not just for me. This is not just for Jacob Cassidy, not just for Chaos Conspiracy, but just know that this journey is for you people. So you people stick around, I promise you it'll pay off a lot in the long run, because
go to bed.
Well, we're getting to that point soon, trust me. But I will want people to follow the Boneshaker. You can do that on Instagram at the Boneshaker. That's an SHAKKA, and I still load that person in the background. And on Facebook, follow him at Robert Pierson, first name, last name. As we're coming up here to the end of the show, I want to say hello to somebody that is the EBW Pro Champion, and also somebody that is a part of the group called Ego. He was on the show, Mr. Austin himself, and he says, "What's up, Boneshaker?" The phone emoji here. And another fan out there says, "Eat his ass, Boneshaker, and get that global championship. Cyrus is nothing compared to you, global champion on the horizon." Well, you know what? Listen, we'll have to find out. Certainly, shots have been fired throughout the evening here between the likes of X Factor Cyrus, our new global champion, and our guest here, the Boneshaker, Robert Pierson, who certainly made a rather impactful debut here on Sportzwire Radio, where we run the gauntlet talking about DBW, his career, his journey, his family, his tag team, the Chaos Conspiracy, and what lies ahead in the future. See him in front of a danger zone. Here, stay tuned to DBW for more details on when that airs. Other bunch episodes are coming, and of course, EBW Pro. We can see him get a crack at those vacant tag team titles and Anthony Morbo, who was already gold-like resume, and this guy definitely hits hard, he speaks hard. He's a guy we're going to be watching for a long time. He's established himself. He's worked his way up the ranks from the New Jersey, South Jersey scene, doing things in the yard, to where he is now basically on his way to being a pro, and he's certainly got the fans behind him. He does it for the fans, unlike some who do it for the money and the championship, like the likes of the X Factor Cyrus, and even our guest tomorrow night, 30 p.m. Eastern Time, Mr. Judgment himself, the Boneshaker, Robert Pierson, and let's say Brandon Castelli the Mauler, that's where maybe they seem to be very similar, both doing it for the fans. Brandon, however, has turned over a new leaf. He is certainly doing things differently, and obviously, I'm sure you approve of that. But obviously, I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And the Boneshaker, you've definitely shaken some bones. You have shaken some people, and you've taken the world by storm here on a Monday night. Monday night. So I give you the floor now. Give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The Boneshaker, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I really do like this comment right here because one thing I did mention we had talked about is you know what my goal is, and like I said, it's to make a breakout. And hey, I would absolutely love and cherish being able to for Chaos Conspiracy to be the ones to dethrone the Heretics and take them DBW Tag Team
Well,
Champions forever. But like,
Judgment, I'm going to ask Judgment about that tomorrow. I will certainly bring up the Heretics and who he thinks that.
and we'll definitely be there listening. But even like I said, there's all different types of twists and turns and everything like that. Who knows? Maybe I could be the one to beat Cyrus to become the new global champion. Maybe it would be time for some newer, fresher blood. Oh my goodness, the Boneshaker has been shaken by his own words. I apologize.
No. We're live on Sportzwire, and some used to famously say, as in the original 1989 Batman movie, are there ghosts in Gotham? Are there Boneshakers out there? Maybe there's a first and a last Boneshaker whose name is Robert Pierson, and he has certainly set his sights on a few things, including the global championship held by It Factor Cyrus, who makes his triumphant return to Sportswire Radio tomorrow night, and maybe even 2 sets of tag team championships in DBW and EBW. You say something there?
Yeah, and I also want to say, there's definitely some other people on here that were definitely part of Cyrus's ramblings, which that would be Jacob Cassidy and Jackson Saber, and I hope
Big
at
Tex.
some and Big Tex, the big homie Big Tex. I hope that at some point either of them gentlemen could make their way on to being on the show as well,
Certainly, yeah. No, listen. At this point, there's a long list, but certainly with DBW, we'll certainly make sure that we prioritize whoever can come on. Certainly, if they want to come on and talk, absolutely, we will certainly accommodate people to the best of my ability. So yes, if there's anybody in the locker room that wants to speak on Sportswire, certainly we will obviously do our best to accommodate. Yes.
That's because they definitely, I feel like, would have something to say to rebuttal the Cyrus as well, as you've seen with Saber and Cassidy still comment and everything like that. And I just also want to take the time to thank the people that have been around from the start and that still continue to support me through a distance and show me love through a distance. And just thank you. This is not over. This is only the beginning. It's only going to go up from here, and it's only going to be too damn good. And I especially want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to you for once again allowing me to be here. Because if it wasn't
you're the Boneshaker. You're the first and the last one.
You give me a layout to sit here and talk to the people that do keep up with me, because I can't be in control of everybody that keeps up with me. I don't know every single viewer that watches the matches that are in or watches the videos that have my name, but those that you give me the opportunity to be able to talk to them people and give me a platform to talk about the things that are going on. And thank you for that. Honestly,
I appreciate that very much. I mean, certainly, look, we love obviously giving people a platform, and certainly I try my best to accommodate people. There's a lot of people that like listening to these shows, different companies, different wrestlers, and they like to hear it from one another. Like our guest last night, Jim Sayers, and the TF crew in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. He was talking about the fact that he listens to Sportswire, he hears these different wrestlers and different companies, and he's learning about them. He learns things, and he watches and looks people up and watches their matches. So I mean, look, if that's something that is a thing that happens, then you know what? I'm certainly going to continue to do it for as long as I humanly can, and I don't intend any time to stop. But in the meantime, we want people to follow Robert Pierson, the Boneshaker, on Instagram, the Boneshaker. The spelling is right there. Facebook, Robert Pierson's got almost 500 followers. Join him. Also support our very, very dear friend over at Dominant Breakout Wrestling. You can do that on YouTube, Dominating Breakout Wrestling, Twitter at Wrestling DBW, and Facebook at Dominating Backyard Wrestling. My friend, it's been a tremendous honor to have you here tonight. I'm looking forward to watching you on Thunder Punch shows upcoming, and obviously Danger Zone will certainly be covering a lot with a lot of DBW coverage ahead here. As always on Sportswire, I have no doubt when Mr. Judgment and certainly Cyrus next week on the show again tomorrow night. The announcement will be for that they'll certainly be addressing you and some. So you've certainly made your name, made your way with those two fellows. I certainly hope for the best, though, that it works in your favor of what you did in terms of pulling them out. But you know what? I'll let those guys speak for that tomorrow night. I won't want to get in the middle of that. But obviously, thank you. Congratulations on all the success. And I'm looking forward to watching the DBW over the coming weeks.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Boneshaker, Robert Pierson of EBW and EBW Pro. He was here to talk about all things related to what he's doing with the Chaos Conspiracy, with Jacob Cassidy also announced here tonight that he's having big text to be invited to the group. We'll see how that folds here in EBW. Of course, you can follow EBW in the links below. My name is Reverend Tom Bryce, the host of Sports Report, owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your voice for wrestling. If you're on Sportswire Radio's internet radio feed, you go back to your regularly scheduled program in a little while. If you're on YouTube out there, I'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. with Mr. Judgment. We'll also be back here Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time with Walker Wall Street of CCW Celebrity Championship Wrestling. They have a huge show upcoming here this weekend, and he's going to talk about that and something this Saturday. A huge show. He's a part of a huge match coming up here against Hybrid. And Hybrid has been somebody that's been here on Sportswire Radio quite a bit in the past, and Walker Wall Street makes his long-awaited return from Coloring Championship Wrestling. Follow CCW on Facebook and check us out here 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Walker Wall Street has a lot to say. You will not want to miss this one. But until then, thank you, everybody, and can't wait to be back tomorrow night with Mr. Judgment, his victory speech, his State of the Nation. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the radio station that is Sportswire Radio.